This is Barry Rapkin from Identified Technologies. Very happy to be speaking with you today on the ROI of drone mapping. We also have a special treat today. We're going to be joined by Dave Stewart, the VP of Keystone Consultants, current Identified Technologies customer, to talk about what his experience is, how drone mapping is helping him grow his business, and talking about it from an operational perspective, a strategic perspective, and answering any audience questions. As you guys have questions, please feel free to enter them in the questions section, and we'll address them both during the webinar, and we'll have a dedicated Q&A section at the end. Perfect. So just to talk through the agenda for the day, we're going to start off with a quick intro, general background on drone mapping. We're going to get into the real ROI of drone mapping, giving some case studies, some insights on what the onboarding process looks like. And we have a quick limited time offer just for live attendees, and then audience Q&A with Dave Stewart from Keystone Consultants. So first is, how is drone mapping being used in different industries? So we'll get deeper into this, but you're seeing it used for mining, construction and excavation, energy, landfills, engineering, and surveying. And they all have kind of unique use cases, but the general idea is traditionally all job sites have been surveyed, but they're doing it with boots on the ground, or they're bringing in very expensive planes or helicopters to do it. And that's pretty inefficient. A 100-acre job site maybe takes a month to survey by hand, and meanwhile you're subjecting them to hazards, potentially really steep cliffs, dodging power tools, obviously harsh inclement weather, and it takes a long time. So by the time you gather all that data and get it processed on a fast-moving job site, it's a month old. So you're not seeing where you are today, you're seeing where you were a month ago. And if there's any mistakes, if anything isn't perfect, you've already invested a month of time and resources into it. Now, doing aerial surveys with traditional methods is faster, but you might be looking at 15 or 20 grand, maybe even more per flight. So yes, you're getting faster turnaround on your data, but because you have to bring a commercial pilot out, the jet fuel, the vehicle, have it transported out to the site, all of that, it's just not cost effective to do monthly, weekly, or certainly not daily. So all these different industries are using drone mapping to get near real-time updates on their data. For mining, maybe that's inventory and stockpiles and mine planning. For construction, that can be earth-moving projects to know exactly how things are progressing. Oil and gas, it can be things like well pads, checking right-of-ways for vehicles. Landfills to make sure that the cells, the airspace is being used optimally, not being exceeded, but every spare inch of space is being utilized. For engineering and surveying, it can represent an opportunity to dramatically increase performance and productivity without increasing headcount. Kind of like equipping, if you're a carpenter, you equip your team with electric drills or pneumatic nail guns instead of having to do everything by hand. In terms of the general drone mapping process, just to help you envision it, you choose your flight plan on a dedicated tablet. The drone automatically activates, it takes off, it flies the whole area in a lawnmower pattern, comes back, lands itself. The data is automatically processed for you, and you get the reports, you can analyze your job site, and you get the insights you need to make fast, informed decisions. And just to be clear, every step in that process is automated, so you don't have to be out there fiddling with joysticks, setting up servers, any of that. It's all integrated and taken care of for you. In terms of the ROI of drone mapping, as I said before, there's a few different ways that drone mapping is useful. One of the big ones is turnaround time. You don't want a situation where your data is either so old that it's really obsolete and meaningless, and you don't want a situation where it's so expensive that it's just cost prohibitive to gather. What you want is near real-time data so you can make fast informed decisions, but at a reasonable cost that is not going to kind of be prohibitive. So that's kind of issue one. And I know everyone I've talked to has been in situations where they thought a job was going really well, and then once they got that survey data back where they thought they were going to be profitable, it turned out they were actually behind schedule, and maybe were just breaking even on the job. So, or that construction had been going wrong. You know, they'd put something 30 feet in the wrong direction, and they sure wish they knew that ahead of time. Not only is it helpful to make those real-time decisions, but this also helps you keep customers happy. By keeping your projects on schedule, by making sure that everything is going according to plan, C-level executives know that they can save weeks or months of time over the course of a large project. That's particularly valuable when it means that you can fit more projects in a very limited amount of time, thus increasing your revenue. It also means that if it does look like a project is running late, you can do something about it before it is too late. You can bring in more personnel, more equipment, work with the customer so everyone's on the same page. But what you don't want to do is, the day the project is expected to be delivered, tell them, oh, sorry, we're 6 months behind. So this keeps everyone on the same page. And you can even share the reports with your contractors, with your customers, with your leadership to make sure everyone is in lockstep on the same page. The other thing that's helpful, besides fitting more jobs in a limited amount of time, more jobs per year, is optimizing the use of equipment. A single piece of equipment can cost easily $5,000 a day to rent, not even including the personnel to operate it. And fewer days of equipment rentals and the associated labor lowers costs. We have some specific examples on that, but knowing where you are on a project lets you know exactly how much longer you're going to need that resource, eliminate bottlenecks if there are things that have to happen before you can utilize them, and it can cut easily weeks off your construction timeline. That adds more money both to your top and bottom lines. I already kind of touched on some of the different industries where these are being used. If you want to deep dive into this, if you go to our website, identifiedtech.com, under the resources section, we have case studies for all these different examples. But, and feel free to reach out. You can just hit the contact us field if you want more specific examples, references, or case studies. One key consideration for return on investment is payback period. And what people usually see is that the costs are, similar to what they were paying for traditional surveys, only they're exponentially faster. And because of that, can fit a huge amount more work in a very limited time span. Some of our clients are seeing savings on their survey expenses from 70 to 90% on projects. And obviously getting faster speed and accuracy. That helps keep their customers happier as well, because they're able to give them the data in hours or days instead of weeks or months. And these savings, 70 to 90%, that can be usually hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars for most large companies. The real-time data gathering through drones doesn't just help you get associated benefits like the speed we talked about. It helps you brand yourself as a cost-conscious, efficient technology leader. That makes you more attractive to potential new clients, as you're able to profitably underbid the competition. By tracking your real expenses and seeing that, you can make informed bids that are actually going to not only be the winning bids, but also be profitable bids. One key consideration for drone mapping, whether it's us or anyone's, is you want to look out for hidden costs. Many solutions out there may look attractive on first glance, but they add a ton of extras. Let's say a drone crashes. Are they going to replace that for you, or is that going to cost you an extra $50,000 or $100,000? If they do replace it, is it they overnight FedEx you one, express mail, or are you waiting, sitting on your hands for the next 8 weeks, unable to collect data while they repair yours? Do they include all the processing? Both the software and the hardware? Or are you going to have to set up your own server farm? Are you going to have to staff it with people that can run and process that data? And if there is a problem, maybe a drone crashes or software crashes, are you going to have many different individual manufacturers all pointing fingers at each other? Or do you have one neck to ring, one key focus that is responsible for making the entire integrated system work perfectly for you? And likewise, is service included, or are you going to have to kind of figure it out as you go? So these are all considerations that it's important to keep in mind for your drone mapping program. And the last one I'm going to mention is the CapEx. Do you have to pay some huge upfront expense, or can you pay as you use it without having to commit yourself long-term to something that may not be the right solution to you? Is it easy to export the data, or are you trapped inside a system that may not be right for you? And are upgrades included, or are you going to be stuck in something where it may be actually obsolete in a year or 2 years? Or are you going to constantly be getting new software updates and new hardware upgrades like you do with Identified? So whatever solution you go with, these are things that are worth keeping in mind. And I also want to touch on the regulatory issues. If you want to fly drones commercially, you have to have an FAA Part 107. That's required for all commercial drone use. And even though the drones do automatically take themselves off, fly the area, capturing the data, and land themselves, the FAA still does require that the remote drone operator be a licensed commercial drone pilot. So that's something that you can sort of take on your own, either hiring or figuring out the training, or if you use Identified, we'll actually walk you through that training process. We have a 100% pass rate with everyone we've worked with. We have practice tests. Our VP of Aviation, who designed the curriculum, has over 20 years of flight and flight training experience. And we will be with you every step of the way, particularly helpful as you're scaling up from not just maybe one person on one job site, but potentially 100 people on 1,000 job sites. So we can really help you reach those goals. And that has a nice, one really nice element to the FAA thing is that gives you on-demand drone mapping. You don't have to wait for someone to come out to the site. You don't have to wait until the weather is perfect. As long as you have anyone working there, whenever they want the data, they push the button and the data is updated. So that tends to dramatically decrease the expenses and delays of data gathering. And in terms of what the onboarding process looks like working with us, you have you sit down with our customer success department, go over general goal setting, training, flights, insights, and then from there get to actual standard operating procedures. So we really try to customize every program to fit your specific needs, figure out what your strategic goals are, and then from there we'll train you on exactly how to achieve those goals, not just in terms of operating the drone, but what reports to run, what analytics to look at, what your KPIs are going to be, help you gather those insights, interpret them, and then branch it out until it's just a part of how you do business every day and running your business faster and better. We do have support both in person and digital, whether it's on-the-spot troubleshooting, over-time software enhancement. We're there providing continuous updates, and we're always there to support you. And we also have a 24/7 available support center with every aspect of our technology if you do have any questions at any time and don't want to call. Customer success creates and delivers quarterly check-ins to help review results against success criteria, making sure that you are reaching your goals and getting what you want out of the solution, and also finding out if you have requests that maybe we can add as we continue to develop the software. And by using Identified, we help people win more bids, complete more jobs per year, increase safety, make their jobs more profitable, help communicate with contractors and stakeholders, help collaborate with their teams, and keep their clients happy. And in doing that, we help decrease billing reconciliation delays, surprise project costs, overwork and rework, mass haul costs, equipment and labor costs, injuries, late projects, over budget projects, regulatory and technology costs, and we minimize setup time and problems. So high level, We're here to help you keep your clients happy, serve them faster and more profitably, and increase your quality assurance and accuracy. So with that, I want to thank you. I have a free offer where if you go to our chat box, I put in one link for a free demo. So if anyone wants you to see our software in action, you can speak with one of our sales reps to do that. And the other is you can actually win a whole free month of drone mapping with us. There's a quick survey just to help us learn a little bit more about you. And we pick a winner, and you'll get an entire month free, no expenses, to actually have us out to your site, have our technology out, and again, see if it is a fit for you and your company. So with that, I want to open it up for audience Q&A. This is a little bit different because we are very blessed today to have the one and only Dave Stewart joining us from Keystone Consultants. He's a VP there, and he's going to actually be speaking with you today about how he's using drone mapping, how it's helping their company, and just any questions you want to ask. So feel free, you can ask me anything you want. I'm Barry Rapkin at Identified. I can talk, I'm happy to talk about that, but I always think it's more valuable to talk to an actual user, an actual customer, and everything's fair game. So I'll give you guys a minute or two to submit some questions. And I have a few to kind of warm Dave up with, just as we're waiting for questions to come in. So I think this is really the perfect chance to get unfiltered, unbiased, live feedback from a current Identified Technologies customer on anything you want to know, whether it's training, onboarding, regulations, hardware, software, operations, ROI, and you have a real industry veteran. Dave, I believe you've had 30 years of experience in the field, is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. And you're coming through loud and clear, Dave, so thank you for that. And thank you for sharing your experiences with the community. So one of the first questions I know people are curious about is, what in that time, in that 30-year career, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in data capture technology and how it's changed over time?
Well, I mean, it starts clear back with, punch cards and transitioning to personal computers, and I worked at companies that did large photogrammetric mapping projects, transitioning into LiDAR for large surveys, and now into the use of drones. So there's been quite a leaps and bounds in surveying and mapping technologies, high definition survey equipment, GPS, the sophistication that's gone through over the last 15 years has been amazing.
That is awesome. Take it all the way back to punch cards. That's funny. I'm curious, what got you interested in drone mapping, and I guess what alternatives did you look at besides Identified when you were exploring that?
Well, initially, we knew Keystone prides itself on having the tools of a large firm, but we're reasonably small. We're about 100 people now, and so we try to offer everything that the top 25 type of engineering companies offer in terms of technology related to their projects. Our clients were, had heard of drone mapping. Some of them were asking about it. Initially, we have a pilot here on staff. We were going to go through that process and just buy a drone. And the further we looked into it, we met Identified during that process, and we found that the speed to market was just very attractive. Had we done it on our own, it would have taken us probably 6 months to a year to really get up and running with all the details of the licensing and things. And the fact that you folks provided us, the assistance with, we now have 3 people that have passed that tests that you referred to earlier, and the FAA requirements and the processing that you folks do in the background. We already had people that were very experienced with working with surfaces in Civil 3D and different aspects of LiDAR, but we had never had it ourselves, and you identified allowed a very quick speed to market for us, and it's worked out real well.
Got it. Dave, that's really helpful. So a lot of it was, look, we don't have to figure all this out internally. We don't have to build this program out that may take months or years. It's just here ready to go. Do you have a feel for how long it took from maybe when you guys signed the contract with us and started until you were able actually to start flying?
We did our first project 1 week after we met with you. And that
wow.
project was flying 5 well pads, and we did that in 2 days to get as-built data on well pads. And if we had done that conventionally, it would have taken probably 10 to 12 days.
That is great to hear. What reports and what data do you think you use most from drone mapping?
Well, the interest from our client base has been really leaning towards earthwork quantities and things like that, and as-built situations. The most recent project we're looking at is it's 10 miles of a pipeline that is here in Pennsylvania that they want to compare the conditions prior to construction with the conditions restored, and they're trying to gather data on how much earthwork was done in this part of the country to assist in their bidding process for future pipelines.
Do you ever use any of the specialty reports we have, like the cut fill analysis or the change detection tool?
We haven't. I know we've used the change detection a bit.
Okay.
But we haven't, since we have people that are really experienced with other earthwork and volumetric packages, we normally just bring the surface into our software and clean it and then use it. But the detection software is something that we have found valuable.
Sure. Have you and your team found it accessible to do exporting for data and pull it into your own tools?
Yeah, it's very, very seamless. Normally, if we fly a site on today, we normally receive the output from Identified the next day.
Great.
And that's in a format that we can then put into most standard CAD package earthwork GIS type applications.
That is good to hear. I always hear from our clients that for surveying firms, customers always want everything done yesterday. Always, always, always. And I'm just curious, as an insider, why is that? And how does drone mapping help you accommodate that need?
Well, I think it's, time is money to at least most of our clients in the oil and gas business. So the sooner that they can get gas flowing through the pipeline or gas flowing from a well pad, the sooner they begin to make money. So they're very, responsiveness is critical to them, and that's something that, the drone mapping has helped.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess I want to do two things. One, I'd like to just give you a chance to share with the community anything else you want to at this time. If there's anything I should have asked but didn't, so I'll get that out first.
Well,
no right or wrong answer.
One of the advantages that I was thinking about as you were going through your presentation is on this 10-mile project, we looked at doing it conventionally with a fixed wing because it was a rather long project. And what jumped out immediately was that, we didn't control those resources. So, they couldn't start for another 2 weeks, and we could start today because we have it. And the cost was, I think it was 30% more to do it using a fixed wing, and the schedule was significantly longer than what we could accomplish the same work. So actually having that mapping tool as part of our other surveying equipment gives us a bit of a competitive advantage over schedule, that we control the resource, not another company.
That is a really great point, that if we have heard that from some others too, that being a one-stop shop and being able to offer everything in-house instead of having to turn people either to competitors or outsiders who they can't directly control and work on their own schedules really helps them not only offer more at the time, but actually offer follow-on work, because maybe they'll do the drone mapping and then there'll be follow-up work resulting from that data. So being able to keep that all in-house and be a one-stop shop can really help.
We've actually done several projects for competitors who haven't yet, transitioned into the getting a drone of their own.
That is awesome. I love hearing that. Then, yeah, my last question, Dave, is just what advice would you give to others considering drone mapping, and whether they're thinking about building out their own program internally, or just whether they're in the early stages, or what would you say to other people maybe where you were a year ago?
Well, having been in the business a long time and been part of development of some other technologies along the way, I really thought that this solution to get to operational quickly, I couldn't think of a better method. And it's worked out really well for us. And the collaborative nature of Identified, where the CEO has probably been to our office 3 times since in this past year, and the interest in improving the product and what else do we think it ought to help us do has been pretty outstanding from a service standpoint.
I love hearing that, Dave. I deeply appreciate you spending your time with us today, and I deeply appreciate you being a customer and a partner, and sharing your expertise with the community. So thank you for sharing your insights, and to you and to everyone in the audience. I know you're all busy, so thanks for spending some time with us. If you do have any questions, please go to Identified Tech. It's identifiedtech.com. You can get a free demo. You can contact our sales reps. You can download resources to learn more. We'd love to work with you. If we're not the right people, we'll absolutely show you what technology you need to accomplish your goals. And I want to wish you, Dave, and everyone in the audience a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you.